833. You can always text the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Sports Radio 21,000 last night. Red Wings fall in Boston. I thought this, it might be a scheduling loss. You get a massive emotional swing one night where you watch one of the greatest players in your franchise's history have his jersey retired to the rafters. You have Hall of Famers on the ice. You're sitting around for at least an hour and a half to witness such a spectacle, and it was so well done. And we talked about it yesterday here on X's and Bros. And then you go out and you beat a really good Carolina team, despite giving up 3 goals in the third period and using overtime and getting it done. So that was great. And then you got to jump on a plane and you got to head to Boston. And you saw it early on. If you were watching this game, you saw it early on where Boston was just carrying the play. I mean, Detroit just didn't feel like they had their legs. Todd McClellan was searching, right? You can tell he's imploring his guys. Come on, man. Let's go. Let's make the push. Boston was pushing right back. I don't want to hear that Boston had more to play for because of where they were. They're in the hunt. They're on the outside looking into the playoffs. And no. Detroit knows that the margin of error in the Atlantic Division / Eastern Conference is so minimal. And that's exactly what happened. Boston goes out, they win it 3-0. Jeremy Swayman had 24 saves, his first shutout of the year. I thought Cam Talbot was great. Seriously, I mean, he was fantastic. He had a season-high 38 saves to keep Detroit in it. But now that their 4-game winning streak is snapped, Tampa wins in a shootout last night 2-1 over Pittsburgh. So that means Tampa leapfrogs the Red Wings in the Atlantic. So their first place, situation in the division, but in the conference, short-lived, just a day. I mean, they've been in first place in the Atlantic a lot of times this year, so it's not a huge deal. But as far as the Atlantic is concerned, it's just this short period of time for now because Tampa is really good. I mean, Tampa has played really good hockey as of late. And really, if you think about it all season long, it's a team that's going to be I think they're more talented than the Red Wings. It doesn't mean the Red Wings can't be in the playoffs. I just think Tampa is the best team in the division. They have now won 11 in a row. It's a team, of course, when you're guided by Nikita Kucherov, who seems like night in and night out, and Jake Gensel, who was a member of Team USA last year, and Brandon Hagel, Braden Point. Those guys are really good players. And then you look at some of the other things that they do so very well. It's impressive. It's really impressive. It's one of those teams that they're going to be a tough out, man. Andrei Vasilevsky continues to shine. He's been incredible with a 2.28 goals against average. Anyway, so Tampa on top in the division by a point over Detroit. The Wings will welcome the Sharks on Friday night. You flip between that and the Michigan State-Indiana game. And Michigan State looked really good early on, and then suddenly Indiana catches fire, and you're thinking, oh, what the hell? How did they tie them? Before MSU goes on this 19-0 run, and the 19-0 run was a season best for them. Looked really good doing it. On the night, Michigan State shoots 51%. They pull away from the Hoosiers 81-60 at a loud Breslin Center as always, and 2 Spartans had double-doubles. One we're used to, Jackson Kohler, good for him, 18 points, 10 boards. The other, Jeremy Fears, career-high 23 points, 10 assists. So State 15-2 on the year, really strong. 5-1 in conference play. I know you were a little unsettled by the win over Northwestern, closer than maybe you want it to be. Let Tom Izzo chew their ass out. That's fine. They got the victory. That's what matters most. Fears, if you think about it, 19 of the 23 came in the first half. A big reason why they were able to open up a decent lead in the first half before falling down a little bit. He had 4 rebounds. I mentioned the 10 assists, so it's his 4th double-double of the year. He had a couple of steals. He was 8 of 14 from the field. I don't know how much you believe in plus-minus in basketball, because it's a statistic that is usually associated with hockey more than anything else.
It can be very misleading in basketball.
It can be. You're right. But sometimes when you look at it, it does jump out at you, does it not? I hope.
Yeah, okay. If it's jarring, yeah.
Jeremy Fears was plus 23 last night.
Wow.
Now, you know me, Trent. I go assist to turnover ratio. He doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot, at least from what I've seen. The plus 23, really impressive. That tells you he was responsible for 48 of MSU's 81 points. Arguably, and I haven't seen every point guard in the Big Ten, okay? Is there a better point guard in the Big Ten than Jeremy Fears? I think you'd be hard-pressed to find that.
And as far as distributing the basketball, I think that's the key here, because the 23 points is great. You'll take it, but it's uncharacteristic from him. You know, what you really want from him is him to distribute like that.
Yeah.
And that is
but he did that. But he did that last night.
Yes.
You know, I think when I watch him with the basketball, this is how I feel. You know, I'm not saying everybody should feel this way. I feel comfortable. I feel sure. When when the ball is in his hands, I feel like he will make the right decision. Am I wrong about that?
No, that's a good way to put it. That's a very good way to put it, actually. You have a level of trust with Jeremy Fears that you might not have with certain players, let alone other point guards, right?
Exactly. And I have to remind myself this. He's a redshirt sophomore, yes? That's his class. Not that means everything. I'm just telling you that to me, and it helps to have the balanced scoring attack. I know everybody wants, Trent, they want the superstar. They want the guy who's going to pour in a ton of points. Michigan State got 27 points off their bench.
Yeah, I mean, and just this team alone, you know, people love Kohler. People love seeing Cohen Carr take off.
Oh, yeah, well, he had another dunk.
That's what people gravitate towards sometimes, and it's like Fears might be their best player.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I never looked at it that way.
Like it might be, there's actually a discussion to be had there. Yeah.
Oh, I think he is. I thought that was assumed. Maybe I'm wrong there. Okay.
And historically, the best Tom Izzo teams, not that you have to paint by numbers, but historically, the best Tom Izzo teams are led by the point guard.
For sure.
Because it's the extension of him on the floor.
And this is a cliche, but sometimes, we've talked about this. Sometimes cliches there's the reason they're a cliche. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad your mic is fixed today, by the way. He had made this is a team that some people get frustrated with in the past because of their lack of free throw shooting, right? Remember what Tom Izzo said at the beginning of the year? This is going to get fixed. He had made 21 consecutive free throws before he missed last night against Indiana. So again, sure-handed, good passer, reliable free throw shooter. Now, would you like to see him be more aggressive? I suppose at times, yeah. But good for him with the fourth double-double of the season, fifth of his career. Jackson Kohler, 10th double-double of the season, 19th of his career. This kid, my son asked me last night, is he a pro? And I said, probably not. I don't care. I think he's a really good college basketball player. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe he surprises me. Maybe somebody gets after that. I don't know. Here's what I know. I mean, he's been reliable. Last 29 games of his college career, he scored 17 times. He's reached double digits. And that's an important piece. Earth-shaking news from the NFL. Or is it? We'll get to that, plus the Mitch Lyons poll question and a lot more as we just get rolling on a Wednesday on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Hey guys, Mitch Lyons here from Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, creating a solid game plan was crucial for a successful outcome on Sundays. In retirement, the formula to succeed is no different. A game plan to win retirement takes proper preparation and attention to detail, taking into account growth, protection, Social Security, healthcare, and securing lifetime income. Are you convinced your current plan can get you where you want to be? Or perhaps you don't really have a plan? That's okay. Make this year the year you take action. Put the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth to work for you and let us help construct your retirement of steel. Get our free retirement toolkit that includes my book, Retirement of Steel, along with guides on taxes, Medicare, Social Security, and more. Text STEEL, STEEL, to 844-86-STEEL. That's STEEL to 844-867-8335. Again, STEEL to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Thanks for tuning in to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer. 18 after the hour. Welcome back. X's and BrO's, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. Mike Tomlin has stepped down. By the way, before we dive into that, just wanted to let you know, if you looked at the rest of the schedule, this is the concern Red Wings fans have, I should say. If you looked at the rest of the schedule in the Atlantic Division, the strength of the schedule, or the toughest schedule moving forward, this is the concern they have. We've had the last 2 years. Remember, there was a time where we peaked emotionally. We thought, this is a team this year can make the playoffs. Thought they were deep enough. Thought they might have had the goaltending tandem, and then they fell apart. So when you get burned a couple of times, that's how a lot of Red Wing fans might be feeling today, even though their team's off to a really good start, even though they've enjoyed not just a ceremony from the other night with Sergei Fedorov, but because of the way this team has played, even though they have their captain representing Team USA in the Olympics. It's all great stuff. Even though Patrick Kane has reached a milestone. Detroit has the toughest schedule left of any team in the Atlantic Division. The toughest schedule. Tampa, based on the entire league, has the 18th most difficult schedule. Red Wings have they have the hardest schedule in the NHL moving forward. Buffalo, 3rd. Ottawa, 5th or 4th. Montreal, 5th. Toronto, 6th. Boston, 7th. Tampa, 18. Florida, 21. That's based on how teams are playing right now. This is not going into the season. This is not this, hey, I thought this team was going to be good, or I thought this team was going to be bad, and now look at how good they are. This is based on where they are as of yesterday. So just a little information there for you as you follow the Wings. What do they need? Well, it's a really good question. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. We thought, as much as we enjoy this team, and we do, a little more, we'll use the cliche, a little more sandpaper would be great. It would be great. And that's why, if you recall, if you were listening to any of our show last week, and we hope you do, there are times where we talk a little bit of hockey with you, even though we don't get a ton of texts or phone calls on it. We mentioned a kid by the name of Kiefer Sherwood. He's not a kid. He's 29, 30 years old. But Kiefer Sherwood, second in the NHL in hits, and well over 400 a year ago, twice as many as Detroit's leading hit collector, if you will, on their team. A guy who plays for Vancouver, by the way, who would be a really good addition to this team. I think that's an element they're missing right now. Like James Van Riemsdyk gives you a little bit of everything. I was watching because the game was on TNT last night, in case you missed it. And their pregame with Anson Carter, former Spartan, Darren Pang, Steve Eisenman's best friend, or one of his best friends. I think he stood up in his wedding, and Henrik Lundqvist. And they had mentioned, they were talking about James Van Riemsdyk, who I like a lot. I think he's been the steal of free agency and what he's brought to this team. And they were mentioning that, so he's not the fastest skater or the best skater. It doesn't matter. Here's what he does bring. And then they listed a lot of things that he's done well for the Red Wings and what he's done at his other stops. But they kind of tap danced around the fact that this is what this team is lacking right now. Okay. They've got a lot of young guys. We mentioned this yesterday. I think we said there were like 9 or something like that. I think I read an article, there were 11 guys, or I heard a comment from Todd McClellan. The reason he wanted his guys out there watching, 11 guys didn't know who Sergei Fedorov was until they read about him because they didn't see him play. One of the younger players turned to Todd McClellan and said, who's the guy in the wheelchair? Didn't know who Vladimir Konstantinov was, who McClellan could then turn and say he was one of the best defensemen in the world when he got injured. A key reason Detroit won the Stanley Cup. A key top line pairing defenseman who was bullish on taking the body, but was highly skilled. So can educate him on that. If you look at this team right now, and I'm not talking about fighting you guys, okay? That's not where I'm going with this. Those days, even though I greatly appreciate it in the NHL, I loved the role that Joe Kocur played. I love the role that Bob Probert played. I love the role that Darren McCarty played. He was on our show the other day. I think it's an important role in hockey, and I mean that. I think there are times where your team needs some type of jump. I was listening to a player last week, forgive me who it was, but they were talking about how one player was needing something for his team. He sensed it. My team is lacking a sense of urgency right now. My team is lacking the needed push. I got to get this. How can I infuse this team with a little bit of that? So he asked this other player, let's go. And the other player, even though he didn't want to, said, I obliged, my word, not his, but he obliged. Why? Because he knows down the road he might need a favor for his team. It was a great window into the mindset of that type of role player. It's interesting, isn't it, how we have no problem with role players in just about any other sport. We don't. I mean, Zach McKinstry was an all-star. He's a role player for Detroit. I mean, if he's your everyday third baseman, you got problems. All right? We don't mind a role as a bridge reliever. The guy who goes from the starter to the eighth inning guy. Give me somebody here in the sixth or the seventh, depending on who's starting. And in today's baseball, a lot of it is the sixth or the seventh. I need the bridge guy. We have no problem with that. I have no problem with the guy who comes up and he's going to pinch hit, but we need a bunt and he's going to lay it down. It's great. I have no problem with the sixth man in basketball, right? Or the defensive specialist. I have no problem with the possession receiver. I have no problem with the second string running back to give the other guy a little bit of a blow. I have no problem with, 3 tight end sets. Hello, Buffalo Bills. Hello, Los Angeles Rams. We have no issue with that. But enforcers play a role in hockey, and it's like, we got to get that out of the game. Why? Oh, because it's just not good for the game. Why isn't it good for the game? I don't understand. What do you mean it's not good for the game? It's part of the game. It's always been part of the game, and it should be part of the game. Just because the other sports don't have that in their game doesn't mean it's not good for hockey. Makes no sense, okay? That people think that way, at least in my eyes. I'm not looking for that guy. I'm looking for the grittier, sandpaper-esque guy who can steer guys away from the front of the net, win battles in the corners, wear on the body, force a turnover that might lead to a break, hit a guy at center ice that might force a turnover. Those are the guys I'm looking for. Detroit, who identifies with that? It's hard to come up with a name. That's the reason I like it, depending on what you have to give up, okay? Depending on what you have to give up. Mike Tomlin is moving on. 19 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's had enough. Probably will take at least a year off. Sure, there's plenty of networks who would love to have him as an analyst. And then probably dive back into it. He's not an old guy. I think he's 52, 53 years old. That means Pittsburgh will search for their fourth head coach since 1969. We'll put that in perspective when we come back. Here's the Mitch Lineswell poll question. Will you feel disappointed if the Pistons don't make a trade? Yes or no? In other words, should the Pistons make a trade? Will you feel disappointed? I want your feelings here, not the knowledge. Usually that's the other way around. Yes or no? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. We'll give you the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk more about Mike Tomlin leaving Pittsburgh when we come back after this on X's and Bros.
The best vacations are RV vacations. Get set for adventure at the Camper Travel and RV Show at DeVos Place. This is the biggest RV show in the state. Features all the newest motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, vans, and ultralights. Young couples, families, and retirees. Find the perfect fit here. Also, hundreds of camping destinations, accessories, services, and free RV travel seminars. That's January 15th through 18th at DeVos Place. Buy your discount tickets at GrandRapidsRVShow.com.
Huge here for the Grand Rapids Camper Travel and RV Show at DeVos Place. It's incredible. Over 300 RVs on display. The big deluxe Class A motorhomes, fifth wheels, family-friendly travel trailers, and campers. It's the biggest RV show in the state. The Grand Rapids Camper Travel and RV Show. It's happening this Thursday through Sunday at DeVos Place in downtown Grand Rapids. Buy your tickets at the door and also online at GrandRapidsRVShow.com.
Soar to new heights of winning with Eagle Casino and Sports. Enjoy your favorite games wherever you are, whether at home or on the go. Dive into exciting slots, spin the roulette wheel, or challenge yourself with virtual table games, all at your fingertips. Sign up now and opt in to receive a deposit match up to $1,500 for the casino, plus up to 100 free spins. Download the Eagle Casino and Sports app today and experience winning with just a tap. Go you! Must be located in Michigan and 21 years or older. Other conditions apply. Visit playeagle.com to join the action. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Okay, back with you here on X's and Bros on this Wednesday morning, 35 after the hour. Glad you're with us. It's a Wednesday where we talk about a lot of different things, including Mike Tomlin. I know this isn't a Pittsburgh show, but this is the end of a pretty impressive era by Mike Tomlin. 19 years in one spot's a long time. Never a losing record is a really impressive accomplishment by a head coach when you're going through a lot of different things. I think they've held on. They've been too loyal to a lot of their players. You know, it's always funny when we want loyalty. I want players who want to be here. And then when they get to be on the downside of their career, well, we got to move on. We held on to him too long. I think Pittsburgh has done that in the past. And maybe they've done it with Mike Tomlin. I don't know. But now Pittsburgh will search for just their fourth coach since 1969. You're talking about Chuck Noll, 4 Super Bowl wins. Bill Cowher, a Super Bowl win. Mike Tomlin, Super Bowl win. The Lions, how many head coaches do you think the Lions have had since 1969? Pittsburgh's about to embark on their 4th. How many do you think the Lions have had? Lions have had 18. That includes interims. That includes an interim of Gary Moeller, an interim of Dick Duran, and an interim of Darrell Bello. Okay? But, so even if you want to take the interims away, that's fine. That's 15. It's crazy. I mean, we put up with Wayne Fonts for 8 years. We put up with Monty Clark for 7 years. Now, you may not think that's a really long time. You've got 2 guys in position of authority for your head football team for 15 years. That's scary stuff. It really is. I mean, here's a franchise, 2 guys who didn't even get sniffs. That's one of the things that we need to remember. When we talk about it, we shouldn't talk about it with pride. We don't. We talk about it with astonishment that the Lions have gone their entire franchise's history with head coaches who nobody else views as a possible head coach. That is stunning. Nobody said, man, I can't wait for them to get rid of that guy because I want him. Somebody's going to hire Kevin Stefanski. Someone's hiring Mike McDaniel. Somebody is going to hire Mike Tomlin. John Harbaugh is going to get a job. All these guys, there are, 9 now? A lot of them are getting jobs, man. Not just because there are openings, but because other franchises view them as good coaches, good head coaches. John Harbaugh, it was time for change. Mike Tomlin, it was time for change. That's fine. They've accomplished quite a bit. I don't know how you're into coaches of the year. Kevin Stefanski was named 2-time coach of the year. For what that's worth, okay? Maybe very little to you. Detroit we've gone through spans where nobody else wants our head coaches. You know why? Because they viewed them as less than. No one was hiring Rod Marinelli as a head coach. No one was waiting by the door and said, I can't wait until the Lions get rid of Marty Mornhinweg because we're going to be in there to scoop him up. Matt Patricia's available. Everybody, stop what you're doing. Everybody in the conference room. I want Matt Patricia's phone number. We want to put him on a conference call and get him here as quickly as possible to interview for our next head coaching gig. That did not happen, and it doesn't happen. That's how bad it is. All right? In Detroit, we gave Wayne Fonts twice as long as we gave Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell was here for 4 years, had 3 winning seasons. Made the playoffs twice. 3 winning seasons. Got to get rid of him. His leading rushers were Amir Abdullah, who's a special teams guy, Joik Bell, and Theo Riddick. There's your bell cow. Let me know when any of those remind you of Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, hell, Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey. They won't. You know why? Because they weren't those guys. Dan Campbell's been here 5 years, right? Trent, 5 years, 4 winning seasons. It's great. Jim Caldwell was here for 4 years, had 3 winning seasons, got fired. Because you brought in a guy who thought he was the smartest guy in the room, wanted to do it the Patriot way, and stunk. They had Stafford, they had Calvin Johnson, they had very little else. Very little else. Think about it for a minute. You got Houston, one of the best defenses in football in the playoffs, and a winner on the road in Pittsburgh. Not a huge test because Pittsburgh's offense was terrible, but you know what I'm saying. New England, really good defense. Denver, really good defense. Seattle, really good defense. During Detroit's tenure of Matthew Stafford at the helm, you ready for their rankings of their total defense or of their scoring defense? 32, 19, 23, 27, 15. They were third in 2014. That's when they went 11-5. Then they dipped 23, 13, 21, 16, 26, 32. His first year in Detroit, their defense ranked 32nd. His last year in Detroit, their defense ranked 32nd. Not saying none of it's on him. I'm just giving you statistics, okay? That's how bad Detroit's defense has been or was during that stretch. Horrible. Absolutely terrible. Nothing worth writing home about. In other words, your top half of the league twice. You were 15th one year, you were third the next. You got leading rushers during that time. Best, LeSure, a broken down Reggie Bush, Joique Bell, Abdullah, Riddick, Kerryon Johnson, a broken down Adrian Peterson. Those are your running backs. You want to know why so many people love Jahmyr Gibbs? Besides the obvious. I mean, he's really good. Don't get me wrong. But that's because you have had trash at that position since Barry Sanders. If I said to you, your running back gained 403 yards on the season, your running back gained 403 yards, how would you feel? Would you feel good about that position? That's Kerryon Johnson in 2019. Your running back gained 641 yards. He wins the postseason award for most yards gained on the ground. That was Kerryon Johnson in 2018. It's painful. It has been painful. Jahvid Best. This was 2010 with Sean Hill. 550 yards. He's your leading rusher. Woohoo! It's a tough thing to stomach. So anyway, that's been Detroit's history as of late. You're well aware of the history overall. And now Mike Tomlin is moving on. When you look at, the replacements out there that people talk about, the guys who are in the conversation, it's not going to be Marcus Freeman. At least I don't think so. Maybe a Pittsburgh opening changes things. There are certain jobs in sports where even if you're retired or you thought you were done or you thought you were committed to your previous employer, that you have to listen to. The Pittsburgh Steelers job is probably one of them. Most rabid fan base?
It's up there.
With who?
As much as I hate to admit it, Green Bay.
Agreed?
I don't know. Dallas is a little different because they're everywhere.
I wouldn't say Dallas only because I think that's more media hype
For
than
sure.
anything else.
Yes, good way of putting it.
What if I said Buffalo?
Oh, okay.
The reason I say that is because, with all due respect, what else do they have?
I don't disagree. I
Western
think
New
Baltimore is similar in that way as well. They have other teams, other franchises, but you're right about Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo's got the Sabres, but and they're playing good hockey lately. But okay. So anyway, it's one of those you're going to listen to, right? They have established themselves as, among the hierarchy in the National Football League. So you're going to listen to that. I would, even though it's not as desirable a place, you'd probably listen to a team like Green Bay, wouldn't you? Anyway, so here are some of the names associated with possibly Pittsburgh. Chris Shula, who is the defensive coordinator for the Rams. And you notice that him and Schilheis are both getting some love nationally as possible head coaches, and understandably so, because they've had success. Sean McVay and the Rams. Kevin Stefanski. Can you imagine staying within the division? That seems a little odd to me. All right. Jeff Hafley, who's the defensive coordinator in Green Bay. So there's names. I don't think John Harbaugh would make that move. Mike McDaniel, I'm sure they'll interview.
John Harbaugh, that would be hilarious.
That would be funny. Isn't it odd? Maybe this is the way it is in just about every sport, okay? Because Rick Bowness just came out of retirement to take over in Columbus. But the NFL, it's like, oh, you're not good enough for Miami. Think about it for a minute. Miami. But you want him in Pittsburgh as a head coach? That seems odd to me. The guy who was supposed to develop Tua Tagovailoa, who had one good year, 2023, but has not been good enough for Miami in 4 years, but you're going to bring him in to replace a legendary figure like Mike Tomlin. That seems a little strange to me.
That's the thing, man. I mean, the Steelers don't fire coaches, so the fact that this happened, this is a huge hire for them. Huge.
Agreed.
Because the way they do their business, ideally, they're hiring their coach for the next 20 years.
You would think. I mean, that's
what
history.
their hope is.
Yeah, that's what their history is. Let me give you one more name. And I know you're not going to like it, but it is worthwhile discussing. Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter fits the profile. Pittsburgh has traditionally gone more of a defensive route.
No doubt.
All right. So I don't think John Harbaugh wasn't a defensive coordinator, was he? I thought he was.
Was he receivers coach in Philly or something like that?
I thought he
Let
was.
me look that up. His last job before Baltimore, I know, was in Philly.
I thought he was a special teams coordinator for at least part of it. Now, what was he just before he got the job in Baltimore? I'm going to have to look that up.
Defensive backs coach in Philly.
Defensive backs coach. Okay.
And before that, yes, you're right. He was the special teams coordinator in Philly.
So he was defensive backs coach. He wasn't even a DC.
Right. He went from defensive backs coach straight to head coach in 2008.
And yet, people like me are always suggesting, at least for the Lions anyway,
coordinators. I
want to see somebody who's been a coordinator and has a history of calling plays. Like people think, oh, it's just defensive. It's just offensive guys who call plays. No, I mean, defensive guys call formations right? That's what the defensive coordinator does. You got to put them in a certain formation. So why is it we're not doing a little bit more of that with using John Harbaugh as an example? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. All right. I mean, he was obviously very successful. So give him credit where credit is due. Pittsburgh has been that type of team. They've been the type of team that says, you know what? We're going to take a young guy and we're going to make him a head coach and we're going to kind of let him, grow into the job. We expect big things from him, blah, 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 blah. That's what Pittsburgh does. Okay. Because Mike Tomlin was a defensive backs coach. Then he was the defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And by the way, he only did it for 1 year, 2006. Prior to that, he was the defensive backs coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jesse Minter has been in LA with the Chargers for a few years now, couple of years, and he's done a really good job. And he's only 47.
42 is what I see.
Oh, is he 42? Okay.
Yeah, even younger.
42. Wow. So he's 42 years old. He's established. He's well respected. He's done a really good job with his team's defense. And don't stop with they just got eliminated. I need a coordinator that's going to take a team to the Super Bowl. Well, Sean McVay, who's been at the helm for 9 years in Los Angeles, was the Washington Redskins offensive coordinator, and his team in his last game in Washington scored 7 points in a must-win game.
Yeah,
7
I mean,
points.
if your criteria is coaches that are still in the playoffs, that's slim pickings, man.
You're going to have a hard time doing it. Where do you think Pittsburgh ranks among the 9 opportunities?
That's a really good question, Shep. I think it's up there because of the job itself, not necessarily their team situation. Because I think team situation, I think the Giants' job is probably the most attractive.
So there's a few things that I wonder how we measure this, okay?
Sure.
First, pressure, lack of a better word. Pressure can be self-induced, but look, the expectations in Pittsburgh are higher probably than any other opening right now, based on history.
I
is all
would
I'm
completely agree with that.
Okay. So let's just use the word pressure for that.
Okay.
All right. Talent, desirability of location. Do I want to have my family there? If I'm Jesse Minter, I'm 42 and I have a young family, and do I want to raise them there? I don't know how much that really should matter, but it's not like coaches are players.
It's not nothing.
Players leave and they go, you know what? I'm going to Los Angeles to train. I'm headed to Texas. I'm headed to Phoenix. I'm going down to Florida. Coaches stay year round for the most part, okay? Because they're in the office, they're working with the front office and so on and so forth, okay? And successability. How much success are you going to have right away? Nobody wants to jump into a job, even though it's a head coaching gig and it's everybody's goal. Nobody wants to jump into a job and say, okay, I've gone from 2-15 to 3-14.
And
Don't
that's where
jump
the
on the
Arizona
bandwagon
Cardinals
now.
and the Cleveland
all right?
Browns openings are a little bit different than Pittsburgh, to say the least.
Yes, but some of them, and look, Arizona doesn't have as much pressure, right? The other is, if you look at the division, what is the division? What allows me to have success? If I'm going to use a lot of the players and the roster associated with the job, am I not going to use the division that might allow me to have some success with that roster to put myself in a good spot? So we'll talk about that on the other side. Also, a former general manager in Major League Baseball has torched the Detroit Tigers, and a former MVP has jumped in on that. We'll get to that here on X's and Bros as we roll on a Wednesday, brought to you this hour by our friend Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com.
Soar to new heights of winning with Eagle Casino and Sports. Enjoy your favorite games wherever you are, whether at home or on the go. Dive into exciting slots, spin the roulette wheel, or challenge yourself with virtual table games, all at your fingertips. Sign up now and opt in to receive a deposit match up to $1,500 for the casino, plus up to 100 free spins. Download the Eagle Casino and Sports app today and experience winning with just a tap. Go you! Must be located in Michigan and 21 years or older. Other conditions apply. Visit playeagle.com to join the action. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Huge here with a message to all of you Lions fans. My good friend Josh Garvey, who runs Doran Mayhew's Grand Rapids office, will join me every Thursday with former Lion Lomas Brown, and we'll go inside the Lions each and every week all the way through the Super Bowl. Doran Mayhew is proud to partner with the Huge Show, and we're proud to have a guy like Josh Garvey join us in studio every week. If you have a Lions question or comment, you can drop them at Huge Show on Twitter, The Huge Show on Facebook. Doran Mayhew, proud to be a part of the West Michigan community and across the entire state with their corporate worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan. So make plans every Thursday, 5 p.m. It's Josh Garvey, who is a managing shareholder at Doran Mayhew's GR office, with Lomas Brown on the Huge Show, going inside the Lions every Thursday at 5 p.m.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props
anywhere else. It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at dkng.com/audio. Limited time offer.
Save a good deal more during the Meijer Dollar Deal Sale, January 7th through the 20th. Shop the entire store and choose from hundreds of items, all $1 each. Fill your basket with favorites like Kraft Macaroni and Cheese, Sparkling Ice Sparkling Water, select varieties of seedless cucumbers, and Meijer Facial Tissue. The Meijer Dollar Deal Sale. That's the good life, a good deal better. And don't forget to stop by the Meijer Pharmacy for your flu shot. Available today while you shop. Exclusions apply. See Meijer.com for details.
The Michigan Sports Network is your exclusive home for X's and Bros with Matt Shepard and The Huge Show later today at 3 p.m.
Ferris Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual. So a couple things here. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Michigan State a winner last night. Red Wings a loser. Mike Tomlin has decided to hang it up, at least in Pittsburgh anyway. Expected to take a year off. We'll see if that actually stays that way. Monty Williams wanted to stay away too. I'm not saying they're the same coach by any stretch, but sometimes money and opportunity does knock. So, but 19 seasons in Pittsburgh, the reign is over for Mike Tomlin with the Steelers. And our Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question: Would you feel disappointed if the Pistons didn't make a trade? Yes or no. Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. We'll get to that here in a moment. Let me tell you. I don't know if you had a chance to read Sheila Ford Hemp's letter to the fans. I thought it was well written. It sure sounded like it was her. I think Billy talked about this yesterday afternoon. Let me read it to you real quick, okay? She writes, I want to start by thanking you for your commitment to our team and our support throughout the season. I'm always blown away by the energy you create inside Ford Field and the advantage you give to our team every time we run out of the tunnel. I wish that was always the case. Unfortunately, they played Minnesota and crapped the bed. Unfortunately, they played Green Bay and crapped the bed. I also want to acknowledge that our results on the field this season, this is an important paragraph. Our results on the field this season were not what any of us envisioned, and frankly, we're not good enough. Now, I know what you're saying, but that's obvious. And sure, it is obvious. But it's also obvious to her, and she's making it known to you, that she recognizes it too. While we do not believe it is a time for drastic change, this is an opportunity for us to, this is really important, refocus, evolve, and move forward.
Love it.
Okay? I think that's the best sentence in the entire letter. It goes on, I'm proud of the roster. The success doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't guarantee future success. It's incumbent on us to grow toward the ultimate goal of bringing a championship to you and the city of Detroit. I wish she had said Super Bowl instead of championship, but whatever. I don't want to get, parse words here. Excited for 2026. Thank you for your commitment. All right. I breezed past the last parts of it. I want to focus on, while we do not believe it is a time for drastic change, I think you would agree with that, right? What is drastic change for the Detroit Lions?
A drastic change would be, a new quarterback, firing Dan Campbell, firing Brad Holmes, moving Aiden Hutchinson, moving Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Let me rephrase this then. Let me rephrase this. What is a realistic drastic change? You're not getting rid of Jared Goff. Right. You're not firing Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. You're not releasing or trading Aiden Hutchinson. That is not happening. So let's do realistic. Firing a defensive coordinator who's interviewing for the Miami job.
Because you're already going to have to hire a OC, Right. So
bringing in an assistant head coach. I would say a drastic change would be, this is my hope here, and this has to do with evolving and moving forward, and that is doing things differently. This team has been built on drafting and developing. Red Wings have been built that way. Pistons have been built that way. Tigers have been built that way. What each of those teams have done, however, whether it's Patrick Kane or James Van Riemsdyk or John Gibson, filtered in a couple of guys they've either traded for or signed as free agents. Pistons, what did they do? They had Harris, they had Hardaway, they had Beasley, and now it's LeVert and it's Duncan Robinson. You understand where I'm going with this, I hope.
Yep.
The Tigers, it's a Baez fit. I know. It's a Gleyber Torres fit. It's a, fill in the blank with a certain Jack Flaherty. Certain guys, you're not as much as we want, but certain guys coming into the fold in a different way other than the farm system. The Lions really, at least under Brad Holmes, haven't really done that. Kevin Zeitler, of course, we recognize that. We recognize a DJ Reed, okay, and obviously Brad Holmes traded for Jared Goff. We get that, but maybe not nearly enough. So how do you evolve and move forward? That allows you to refocus. All of that is very important, I think. And I think the most important thing that she said to fans. Now, for some of you, it may fall on deaf ears. Okay, I've heard this before, all this other stuff. All right. Some of you may not be real happy that it's the written word. I mean, Freddie texts us and says, hey, listen, I want to see my owners get on the mic and talk versus penning a paper. It comes off completely different. PR people write that crap. I hate it. Look, I think you're right for the most part. I think there are PR people, media relations people, who will help pen those types of statements. The only thing I would tell you is when I read this, I think this is legit.
It comes across as genuine to me as well.
It comes across as genuine. Do you think it, let me ask you this. Do you think it means more in Baltimore that Steve Biscotti came out and talked about John Harbaugh's firing and being told that Mike Tomlin was stepping aside from Pittsburgh, and his reaction was holy blank, and he started laughing? Did that really happen? Is that more important than penning something? You know, maybe to Freddie and others, it is.
Maybe it shows more, it proves more authenticity, I guess, you know?
Yeah. And then on the other hand, and I know this is drastic. It's a drastic example. Then on the other hand, you have Jerry Jones out there every single day looking for a camera, doing a podcast, jumping on a radio show, or asking if he can sit in on the morning show on a TV station in Dallas.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Okay.
We don't want that.
So you want the balance. How often do I want to hear from an owner? I would like to hear from an owner just like a general manager, on a couple of different times. I want to hear post-season, so I'm on board with Freddie. I'd like to see her in front of a camera answering some questions. She probably just doesn't want to answer questions. She wants to thank the fans, but not talk to the media. There's a part of me that respects that, but there's also a part of me that says, I wish you were in front of it because there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. I want to see them before the season begins too. Do I need to see them around the trade deadline or draft? No. I mean, you got the camera in the draft room. You know, you got Rod Wood pumping his fist. Whoopee. You got Brad Holmes pounding on the desk and asking every single draft pick, you ready to be a Detroit Lion? Yes, Brad. I mean, we know they are. You drafted them. Come up with a different line, please. But anyway, you've got an owner who's there saying welcome. I don't necessarily need to hear from my owner that much. I want to hear from primary decision makers more than anything else. All right? That's me. It doesn't mean I'm always right. I'm just saying I want to hear from a general manager at certain times. I could hear from an owner a couple of times a year unless there's something drastic. If you trade a franchise player, if you fire a coach, if you make a move in your front office by getting rid of your general manager, I believe it's on an onus on the owner to come out and address those things. But I don't need to hear an owner per se thanking the fan base. Now, if you want that owner on the desk with a microphone in front of, you know, your number one sales partner over their shoulder talking to the media at the end of the year, that's fine. I think most people would rather hear from the general manager at the end of the season, not necessarily the owner. I think they want to know what the hell went wrong from the head coach and from the general manager. But I do think when you say refocus, evolve, and move forward, I don't think that's written, excuse me, having a problem. I don't think that's written by a PR firm. I don't think that's written by your media relations. Your media relations isn't going to go, here's my ghost letter, Miss Ford, what do you think of this? And she looks at it and says, what do you mean by refocus, evolve, and move forward? What are you saying here? I think those are her words. I think she's sharp. I think she understands it. Freddie said she was on the mic when she said the goal was the Super Bowl. If everyone follows very closely, the messages by Dan and Brad have been completely different. Brad says he doesn't think they are far. Dan says they hit rock bottom. Don't remember Dan saying rock bottom. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom is what he said, but he didn't. I don't think he says they're at rock bottom. We're going to take a quick timeout. 10 minutes after the hour. We're back after this on X's and Bros. Stay with us.
The best vacations are RV vacations. Get set for adventure at the Camper Travel and RV Show at DeVos Place. This is the biggest RV show in the state. Features all the newest motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, vans, and ultralights. Young couples, families, and retirees. Find the perfect fit here. Also, hundreds of camping destinations, accessories, services, and free RV travel seminars. That's January 15 through 18 at DeVos Place. Buy your discount tickets at GrandRapidsRVShow.com.
Huge here for the Grand Rapids Camper Travel and RV Show at DeVos Place. It's incredible. Over 300 RVs on display. The big deluxe Class A motorhomes, fifth wheels, family-friendly travel trailers, and campers. It's the biggest RV show in the state. The Grand Rapids Camper Travel and RV Show. It's happening this Thursday through Sunday at DeVos Place in downtown Grand Rapids. Buy your tickets at the door and also online at GrandRapidsRVShow.com.
Hey guys, Mitch Lyons here from Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, creating a solid game plan was crucial for a successful outcome on Sundays. In retirement, the formula to succeed is no different. A game plan to win retirement takes proper preparation and attention to detail, taking into account growth, protection, Social Security, healthcare, and securing lifetime income. Are you convinced your current plan can get you where you want to be? Or perhaps you don't really have a plan. That's okay. Make this year the year you take action. Put the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth to work for you and let us help construct your retirement of steel. Get our free retirement toolkit that includes my book, Retirement of Steel, along with guides on taxes, Medicare, Social Security, and more. Text STEEL, STEEL, to 844-86-STEEL. That's STEEL to 844-867-8335. Again, STEEL to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Thanks for tuning in to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Saw something recently that kind of blew my mind. I don't know how much this truly matters. The player would be able to tell us more than anybody. And this is not an excuse for Jalen Hurts, who wasn't very good this year, period. I don't care whether you had him on fantasy or not. He wasn't very good. I don't care if they won a division or not. He wasn't very good. Philadelphia fired Kevin Patullo, their offensive coordinator. In the last 10 years, how many different offensive coordinators, play callers, guys in his ear do you think Jalen Hurts had in the last 10 years?
So going back to Bama.
Going back to Bama.
12?
2015. No, 16. 2016. 12? 12 in 10 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Because guys get fired mid-season. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
No, you're pretty close.
I know
10.
It's been a lot.
10 and 10. 10 and 10. At Bama, he had Lane Kiffin in 2016. He had Brian Dable in 2017. He had Mike Loxley in 2018. He had Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma in 2019. He had Doug Peterson in 2020. He had Nick Sirianni in 2021. Shane Steichen in 2022. He had Brian Johnson, not the singer of AC/DC, but Brian Johnson in 2023. He had Kellen Moore in 2024 and Kevin Patullo in 2025.
And pending for 2026.
Right. So it'll be the 11th in 11 years.
That's bizarre.
Isn't it?
Yes.
That's some freaky stuff. Absolutely wild. Okay. The Sheila Ford Hamp letter, how people took it. There were, somebody sent us a text and said, look, Sheila took to the mic to support the coach and GM 2 years ago. It went over well. If they're going to raise prices and never get to the Super Bowl, they should all speak and be held to the fire. Okay, fair enough. I mean, the whole prices thing, I don't get. And here's why I don't get it. None of us were saying they have the cheapest tickets in football. At one point, that was it. When you raise the prices, and I'm not saying it's justified, I'm just asking, at what point during their crappy seasons were we saying, wow, well, at least we don't have to pay for very much? Seriously. Did we ever suggest it was a bargain of a deal on NFL teams? Never. All we did was complain, and I was front and center. All we did was complain about how bad the football team is, and rightfully so. I wouldn't pay for that. Don't go down there, all that other stuff, right? How come now we think that, and do we expect anybody, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a general store, expect them to not raise their prices? What do you think? I don't know. I think what happened was, I believe this to be the case, that the Lions had the largest percentage increase. They don't have the most expensive tickets. They have the largest percentage increase.
And I know that for a fact as a season ticket holder, by the
Yeah.
way. I just want to,
There you go.
I mean, yeah, they almost doubled in price. So that's a pretty big percentage.
For sure. I believe, and I've been looking this up. The Financial Buzz wrote this article. The most expensive tickets, home tickets, Raiders, $517 a game. This is average. Kansas City, $468. Philadelphia, $419. San Francisco, $359. Dallas, $350. Miami, $340. Rams, $337. Patriots, $325. Seahawks, $314. Lions, $310.
Middle of the pack. Right? I mean, what'd you just list? 14, 15?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10th. So above, higher
Top
than
third,
middle of the
I
pack.
guess.
Yeah, top 10. Yeah.
You know who sticks out? Just a side little,
the Raiders.
quick little sidebar is Miami.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to pay to watch a not great product. That's rough.
But the Raiders are the highest, and they're going to have the number one pick.
Ouch.
So anyway, I think Detroit, what they did though, and you can speak to experience on this, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think based on 1 year to the next, and it was really 2023 to 2024, was it not? Where the jump took place? Yep. Okay. All right. So raising ticket prices is based off 2024's mindset. Did they raise them for 2025, Trent?
They did.
Again,
it wasn't nearly as big of a margin.
Okay, so it wasn't as steep, but they
23
did
to 24 was the major jump. Yes, you nailed it.
Major jump. And the reason for that, I'm not defending it. I'm not making excuses for them. But the reason for that is I believe they had amongst the cheapest tickets in the National Football League. Okay? And rightfully so, because of how bad they were. So I think, way back then, those prices were really expensive for certain teams. The Lions were not super expensive. In fact, you look up, and this is based off USA Today, from 2023, Detroit's average cost for tickets was $123. Raiders were the highest. Detroit was roughly middle of the pack. Atlanta was like on average, cheapest ticket, $54. Houston was $49. Arizona was $59. All right. Detroit was at $123. So they weren't the cheapest, but they sure as hell weren't the most expensive. Just about every team, at least from 2023 to 2024, raised their tickets. 2024 to 2025, I don't know if all of them, I would say a majority of them raised their tickets. The thing that pissed a lot of Lions fans off, and understandably so, is but because they were so low, they raised them exponentially to get in line with other organizations.
Right. So it felt a lot more drastic than it actually was in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yes.
And
if you go from 123 to
it's
3, whatever 3, I forget what the 300 number was that I just gave. But if you go from 123 to 350 and you're more than doubling it, you're going to feel that. Everybody would be pissed off about that.
Yeah,
so
and there's you cannot be subtle about that.
If you go for a small incline, that's one thing. But when you do it all and rip that Band-Aid off in one big motion, that's got to be, financially, that has to be really painful. So again, not making an excuse for the football franchise. And just because other teams do it doesn't mean you have to do it. But because you were so below what you could have or should have been charging based on NFL tickets, and you raised it so drastically, everybody thinks like, well, you raised your prices. Damn you. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Their feet should be held to the fire no matter what. But let's not act like they're A, the only team to raise their ticket prices, and B, that they did it where they are now the most expensive ticket in football. They're not. Read everything associated with it. They may have raised their ticket prices percentage-wise among the most in the National Football League. That doesn't mean they have the most expensive tickets, okay? According to the financial publication that I just gave you, they are 10th in that regard. If you were the owner, would you have raised your ticket prices when your team suddenly got better and there is a demand for it? Supply and demand. I think what pissed a lot of people off too, again, Trent, you and your family can correct me if I'm wrong here, is what they did is they gobbled up a lot of those tickets, sold them to a third party, and that third party then sold them for a higher price. That upset a lot of season ticket holders. Got to take a quick time out. This hour of X's and Bros brought to you by our friends at Meijer.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
Like the podcast that Tom Brady appears on, he gives incredible insight. I mean, I don't know how you feel about him as an analyst. I don't know how you feel about him as a player. I don't know how you feel about him because he may have gone to a certain school, but he says some pretty insightful stuff, man. Like when he talks about how he was good at 25, he was great at 35, and at 45, he was a master of what he did because of his dedication and because of his knowledge. It really makes you appreciate, if you look at your own career or your own specialty, your job, whatever, how long does it take for you to recognize what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done? Like, we can learn from all kinds of different people and different players and walks of life. He can educate a lot of people on a lot of different things. I love it. Hey, quick question for you. We don't talk about this nearly enough. If I asked you, or you go up to any of your buddies, Trent goes up to his brother and his dad. They go on the Lions game, every home game just about. That Thanksgiving trek was absolutely brutal this year for them. Trent's got a lot of buddies. They listen to the show, but they talk to one another about a lot of different things. If he said to them, what kind of year did Aiden Hutchinson have? What would the response be? You talk to your friends, you talk to your family members who love football. Just because a defensive end isn't on your fantasy football doesn't mean that you can't follow how good they've been or how bad they've been. So answer me this. If I asked you that, what would your response be? What's the answer that you come up with?
He had a very solid year. That's what I would say.
Solid year. Okay, good. I would say the same thing. Would you say, here's a guy who had over 100 pressures. I know, Pro Football Focus. But he had a career high in forced fumbles and a career high in sacks. Is that what you look at? I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, yes.
Here's what we don't look at, and we should. We bring it up on this show, but we don't always focus on it, probably like we should. Josh Hines Allen of Jacksonville played 77% of the snaps. It's pretty damn good. Brian Burns, who was a second-team All-Pro, played 77.3% of the snaps. Pretty good. Myles Garrett, who's the best at what he does, played 82% of his snaps. Max Crosby, who is one of the best at what he does, played 83% of the snaps, even though he didn't play the last game. He was pissed off about it. Aiden Hutchinson played 91% of his defensive snaps. By far and away the most by any defensive end. Why don't we give him credit for that? Think about it for a minute. You and I, when we talk baseball, we talk about, I want everyday players. Oh my God, Shep, stop talking about it. Okay, A.J. Hinch and Scott Harris believe in flexibility and versatility, and that, but availability is one of the most important traits. Right or wrong? Tell me when I'm right or wrong.
Right.
Shep, I don't want Anthony Davis. He just got hurt again. Hurt his finger. He's going to be out for a while. Got a second opinion. Doesn't need surgery, which always kills me. You get the first opinion, they say need surgery. Second opinion says you don't. Oh, I'll go with the second one. But anyway, they say availability. He's not available. He's injury prone. Right? Okay.
Yes.
For sure.
I stand by that, by the way. I still feel that way.
Me too. I agree 100% with it. I want players who play.
Yep.
I don't want you sitting down in a big game. I want you, if you're available, I want you to play. And you got to grind your way through it. This is going to happen with Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin is going to play in the Olympics. He's going to come back. It's going to be a tougher chore than he would have ever experienced in his career. I don't care if he's played in the junior, the U18s, the U17s, the U19s. I don't give a crap. Okay. I don't care if they played in, what was a spectacle a year ago for Team USA against Canada and lost. This is going to be a challenge for him. Availability will be important for the Red Wings captain after the Olympic break. And yet, Mac, we see a guy like Aiden Hutchinson go out there and play 91% of the defensive snaps. And we don't say anything about it. Year before, broke his leg. That dude was available on most every defensive snap, where defensive ends usually don't get that chance. Why? Because they need a rest. You're pushing up against a brick wall on a regular basis. Not an easy thing to do, unless it's a turnstile. I get it. But that's a hard thing to do. You're going up against a 330-pound man on every single snap. He played 91% of the snaps, you guys. And we don't say boo about it. Who else is really good? On the Lions defense, who do you really appreciate?
Kirby
Who's
Joseph,
the guy?
Jack Campbell.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Campbell, who was just simply fantastic this year. Jack Campbell played 99% of the snaps, Trent. 99%, dude. Oh, and by the way, he played 20% of special teams. Above and beyond.
Yeah,
we talk about the tackles. We talk about the pressures. We talk about the forced fumbles, the tackles for losses. All that stuff is great. That dude is out there on every God-blessed snap, and we don't bring it up enough.
To think about where that defense would have been had he not played 99% of snaps is laughable.
I know. But again, I think it's really important. 20% on special teams. In other words, he's not coming off the field. He's out there defensively, then he's staying out there on punt or punt return or something like that. In other words, he's coming out for punt return, staying and leaving for the offense. But defensively, he's out there on defense, and then he's staying for, the punt team. Still a lot of snaps for a guy like that. But Aiden Hutchinson, I hear, he didn't give me enough. Some of those sacks, even though he had 14 and a half, some of those sacks, I'm not so sure. Look, here's what he was. And maybe I could be making way too much of it. So feel free if I am, okay? But you know what he was doing? He was giving effort. So if you want to compare sacks to percentage of snaps, maybe that's a fair critique. Opposite him of Al-Qadim Muhammad, what do you think the percentage of snaps he played was? He had 11 sacks, 41%.
Wow.
Aiden Hutchinson, 50% more snaps than Al-Qadim Muhammad.
Could you be a smartass? And I'm not saying I feel this way, but could you be a smartass and say that because he played so many snaps that he should have gotten home more? That you expect more?
Right. That's exactly where I think some people will go with it. If he's played that high a percentage of the snaps, then shouldn't he be more productive? It's a great question. I suppose what I would say to that, Trent, is Max Crosby played 83%. If he played 83% of the snaps, and you know how I feel about Max Crosby, I think he's a hell of a player. I think you do too. I think most people, if you said to somebody, fork to nose, hey, by the way, who do you think is the best pass rusher in football? Max Crosby would be at least mentioned in those conversations. He had 10 sacks this year, Trent. 10 sacks on 83% of the snaps. How's that different? I'm not great at math, admittedly. How much different is that from Aiden Hutchinson playing 91% and getting 4.5 sacks more? And we all know how difficult it is to sack the quarterback. As I said, Myles Garrett set the record. He got 23 this year. That's a little bit more than one a game. 1 and change. Not 1.5, but 1 and change.
Right, because he also missed a game, didn't he? So he played 16 games, I think.
Did he miss a game? I can't recall. I'll have to look that up.
I thought I saw that, but anyways, that just makes it more impressive too, because he's truly doing it in the same amount of games that Michael Strahan set the record in.
Right. No, Garrett played 17.
He did? Okay.
Yeah, he played 17.
My bad.
Yeah. That's all right. And 33 tackles for loss. That's something that not enough people bring up either.
Almost just as important as sacks, right?
Yeah. So putting them behind the chains.
Yeah.
Chains. So that's my point, though. My point is we want guys to show up. You show up to work every day. The people listening show up to work every day. You may own a restaurant. You're opening the doors every single day at 7 o'clock in the morning, even though your doors don't open for the public until the lunch rush of 12 or 1 o'clock. Anybody recognizing that? Probably not. They just want you to deliver their mastacholi. I want my chicken sandwich. They don't know that you showed up when you did. Well, with athletes, specifically with a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, we recognize that he did. We know when he's on the field. We know when he's playing. Every single game, most every single snap defensively. Not an easy thing to do. Quick question for you as we shift gears here. The Tigers, and unless you love the signing of Brian Salmons, no, not Salmons, not Tim Salmon, okay? Brian Salmons, the lefty who played in Japan. That's awesome. I don't know about you, man. I'm super fired up. I love what the Tigers have done in the offseason. They've really gone after it, haven't they?
Sensing a little bit of facetiousness there, Shep.
Oh, my God, man. Come on. But let me defend them for a moment. The belief is they don't spend. Right? You and your buddies, you're talking about it. You bridge the gap with them about the Tigers, and their frustration is what? Spending. Cheapness. The Tigers ranked 15th out of 30 teams, according to Sport Track, in spending last year. They were 7th in the American League, and they were 1st in the American League Central. It's not a high bar. I get it. You know the Royals aren't going to spend. Cleveland has never spent. Minnesota's relatively cheap. Chicago has spent, but spent improperly. Anyway, they're viewed as cheap, right? The Pistons are number 1 in the East. There's a lot of teams out there with flex max contracts. Where do you think they rank in the NBA in spending?
I think they're relatively cheap right now.
4th lowest.
Okay, I mean, that makes sense because really the only guy they're paying big money to is Cade.
Right,
got
he
that
makes $46.5 million.
Jalen Duren's still on his rookie deal. Jaden Ivey's still on his rookie deal. Of course, Asar Thompson is. Like, a lot of the heavy rotational players are making rookie money right now.
Correct. Jalen Duren will be a restricted free agent in this offseason. He'll make a lot of bank.
Yes, he will.
Tobias Harris makes 26.5. Is that right? 26.5?
Yep. And that's expiring at the end of the year. So,
right.
Even then.
Number one team in the East, Trent, but the 4th lowest payroll. Do we view them as cheap?
No, that's not the narrative at all.
Why?
I'm just answering their question. I don't think people view the Pistons as cheap.
I know, but I asked you why.
Should they?
No.
Yeah.
I'm asking you why. Why do you think people don't view them as cheap?
Because the team wins and they like
Correct.
the younger players.
Exactly. They win.
The formula works.
No, let me take it to the Tigers, if I can. And again, I'm not. You know how I feel about this situation. I what Scott Harris has done and all that other stuff. Let me ask you this: are the Tigers on rookie contracts for the most part, right? Arbitration eligible,
yeah.
Right? Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, Casey Mize, Zach McKinstry, Kerry Carpenter, Dylan Dingler. Dylan Dingler's not even. He wins a Gold Glove last year. He's not even arbitration eligible yet. So all those guys, arbitration eligible, right? I mean, it's basically a rookie deal. It's the equivalent to a rookie deal in the NBA. Fair? Okay. So if they're on that, and they're under those rookie deals, and they were winning, they have. Have they not won? Not as much as you and I would have liked. Not the way you and I would have liked, but have they won? Absolutely. Why do we think that they're cheap? Why do we use money with the Tigers and not with the Pistons when both teams win? Let me give you my theory on this. The belief was, first of all, the Pistons are a surprise. At least they were a year ago. I would argue not only were they a surprise a year ago, I think they're off to a surprising start this year. I think everybody thought they would be good. I think everybody thought they would challenge for a top 4 seed in the East. But did anybody expect them to be the best team in the East?
And to be 3.5 games clear of that bar, and to be in first place as long as they have. That's the other thing.
Yeah, nobody expected them to win 13 games in a row. I don't think anybody expected this.
No.
Maybe outside the locker room, outside the coaches' offices, nobody expected this. I'd be surprised if Trajan Langdon even thought they would be this good. If he was surprised at last year's success, I'm sure he's surprised at this year's success, considering what they lost and what they brought in, and the injuries or the time games missed of certain players. Levert, Robinson, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, they've missed time, right? Okay. So, with that, my theory is this. The Tigers had a chance, what many people believe, they not just win the division the last 2 years, but win the American League. People felt like it was wide open. And unlike the Pistons, and that's part of the reason we used it as a poll question, a Mitch Lyons poll question, would you be disappointed if the Pistons didn't make a deal? Yes or no? I think a lot of people felt like the Tigers were maybe one player away. One player away. A right-handed stick away. I thought they needed another starter. But either way, you weren't that far away. With the Pistons, I think people see, well, Indiana loses their best player. Milwaukee was without their best player for a while. Cleveland's in deep trouble when it comes to their draft picks, right? Boston loses Jason Tatum, all right? Toronto wasn't on your radar. The Knicks, you played really tough, and if you had Isaiah Stewart from a year ago, you might have felt like they would have been better than the Knicks. So it's acceptable. That's okay. I know what you're going to bring to us. You're going to bring us a lot of fun anyway. With the Tigers, it was more of a difficult watch. And I would argue this too. With the Tigers every single day, I think you see the warts a little bit more. You recognize them a lot more than you do for a basketball team that hasn't played since the weekend and won't play until Thursday, and they've been out of sight, out of mind for a while. Phone number on the Meijer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. When we come back, speaking of the Tigers, national people taking dead aim at what's wrong with this, and one, a former MVP, a damning indictment and his description of your baseball team. That's next. We're brought to you by Meijer.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact that Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Farrah's Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Step into luxury this January with a $275,000 Escalade giveaway at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Every Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 2 lucky guests will win $250 in premium play and 250 bonus entries every hour. And don't miss the grand finale on January 30th and 31st at 11 p.m. One lucky winner each night will drive away in a 2026 Cadillac Escalade. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
Thanks for tuning in to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Truly one of the better questions that I have seen from our audience in a long, long time. Welcome back, X's and Bros. The final hour of X's and Bros, proudly brought to you by our friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. I don't know if this is a future Mitch Lineswell poll question or not. But Freddie texted me and said, what was a bigger mistake? Taking Philip Zadina over Quinn Hughes, taking Luke Kennard over Donovan Mitchell, or taking Eric Ebron over Taylor Lewan? And I know some people may say, well, it was really Aaron Donald. I got to be honest with you. During that time, I was hosting shows. I don't remember anybody suggesting Aaron Donald back then. So, and the Lions needed a tackle at the time. So I think it was more Taylor Lewan. I know I wanted Taylor Lewan.
Of the three options Freddie gave, and I think they're three good ones.
That's a pretty good
to
poll
me,
question, don't you think?
Yeah. To me, though, it's easily Zadina over Hughes. Because I think Hughes is the best player of those three other options that you mentioned, you know?
You think Quinn Hughes is better at his job than Donovan Mitchell is at his?
Slightly, but yes.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to
And I think Quinn Hughes on this Red Wings team
is,
would be unlevel. You know, he'd put them over the top.
I think Quinn Hughes is probably the second best defenseman in the world.
Right.
Whereas Donovan Mitchell is he's the second best player, probably not. I think here's what else adds to that. The guy who you took is done. He's not even playing. At least Eric Ebron, at least he gave you, I know, not enough, but a little production, and then went on and played in Indianapolis and actually had a good year.
Yeah.
At least Luke Kennard played for you for a little bit, and then went on and played for the Clippers and Memphis and whatever, right? Philip Zadina left Detroit. He didn't play anymore. For all intents and purposes, he was done. His National Hockey League career was over.
Yeah, so his lack of success coupled with where Quinn Hughes stands, not just in the NHL, but in the freaking world, that's my answer.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. It's a good reason for it. Detroit gave him 5 years, and he produced a -51 and 41 goals. Actually, for Detroit, 28 goals. He played 1 year in San Jose. Then he was done. All right? He had a 6-year career. Meanwhile, and did, like I said, did nothing with it. Meanwhile, Quinn Hughes, I know he's been traded. He's a 2-time All-Star. He's won a Norris Trophy. And he's got more goals as a defenseman than Philip Zadina did. He's a +26. He's only had 2 negative years in his career.
Yeah, again, if Quinn Hughes was on this Red Wings team, I think that would set him over the top. I really do.
Yeah, and I don't know where that would have meant where Detroit is drafting since then and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. He's a
hypothetical
difference maker on the blue line, and that's oftentimes what one of the positions Detroit feels like they need in addition to what they have right now, because Mo Siders had a hell of a year. Give him a lot of credit. I laugh sometimes. I do. I really laugh when I read articles suggesting that the Tigers may have missed out on this guy, fill in the blank, Alex Bregman, but they're in on this guy, Kyle Tucker. It's funny to me. Like, Alex Bregman chose the Red Sox over the Tigers. People will say, well, the Tigers offered him more money. No, they didn't. Total term, they did. $176 million, I believe is what it was. Which is roughly what? 5 years, 175. What are we looking at? We're looking at, $37 million. In Boston, he was due to make $40 million this year. 41 and a half. Same thing as next year. What he did was bet on himself. I think he made $38 million in Boston this year or last year. Then just about everybody expected him to opt out, lack of a better word, opt out and test the market again. And then he gets the 5-year 175. So I think he made out okay on that. Would you have preferred him in Detroit? Would he have fit in Detroit? I'm sure he would have. I think he would have helped Detroit immensely in a lot of different ways. Anyway, people thought, okay, well, he's opting out. He was close to signing Detroit last year, so let's get our hopes up and think he's coming here this year. I don't think it's as much that players don't want to be here. It's just the management doesn't go about making sure they can't leave here. When you have certain guys in the building, we've heard that about Mike McDaniel. He was in for an interview yesterday. Today it's Mike Kafka. Don't let him leave the building. Be great to lock the doors and say, Mike, you're not going anywhere, as in McDaniel, not Kafka. But you're not going anywhere, dude. You understand me? You're not going anywhere. We want you as our OC. He's got 4 interviews for head coaching gigs. And I'd be sad, disappointed, quizzical if he accepted Cleveland over that. But if he happened to go to Atlanta and say, I'm going to, the Falcons want me as their head coach, I'm going to take that instead of the Lions OC. I get it. I do. I understand that. Anyway, I think the Tigers have had a hard time making sure that player signs on the dotted line. This is how badly we want you. Instead of just, here's a piece of paper, Scott Boras. This is for your client. Can you do more to show them it matters to you? Some people, when they buy their first house, they're worried about a bidding war. So you know what they do? They write a letter to the homeowner. And they write a letter that says, this is what I envision for this home. You've given it great love. You can tell you've taken care of it. It will be in good hands with me, and here's why. Blah, 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 blah. It's made a difference. I know quite a few people who have done that. Why don't organizations do that? We feel like, okay, here's the money. Here's a napkin. Here's the amount of money. Wow, that's a lot of money. How about saying something a little bit more? And I'm sure they do in certain situations. Recently, there's a report that the Mets are in on Kyle Tucker, and they want him on a short-term deal, but they're going to give him a lot of money, $50 million a year to play. But it's again, it's a short-term deal. They're not sure, but nobody's sure about the length of the contract, but they know that it's $50 million per. Kyle Tucker is one of those names that I think a lot of people in Detroit had written about, saying, well, if you're not going to get Bregman, this would be a good fit. And it would be. I think Kyle Tucker's a hell of a player. I like him a lot. Hits for power, finds the gaps, gets on base, doesn't strike out a lot until, I think, August last year with the Cubs. He's won a couple of Gold Gloves. He'd be a really good fit. He's not old. He's 29, I believe. So he's a guy who would be a good piece to a roster like Detroit, for sure. He's 28, 22 bombs, 73 RBIs, 25 stolen bases, 136 games played last year for Chicago. I'm not saying it's worth $50 million. It's not. You and I both know that. But it's the going rate. When people say, let's go all in, they forget about teams like the Eagles this year. Oh, Jalen Phillips, let's go all in. He had 2 sacks with Philadelphia. When they traded for Jalen Phillips, who I liked and I wanted, they gave up a 3rd-round pick, which doesn't seem to be a lot, for Jalen Phillips on a rental, who gave them 1 more game than the Lions and had 2 sacks. One of those sacks against Detroit. We thought he was really good against Detroit. After that, MIA. How do you feel about that now? How do I feel about that now, since I wanted him? Tigers are never going to get Kyle Tucker. Sorry, man. They're not getting him. They're not getting Pete Alonso. Alonso signed with Baltimore. They're not getting players like this. Oh, there's no, you know what? There isn't. I'm sorry. There's no Alex Bregman. Let's shift gears. Let's go to Bo Bichette. Let's go to Kyle Tucker. Look who's in on Bo Bichette. You know who's in on Bo Bichette? Philadelphia. Dave Dombrowski. Those guys go out. They identify a guy. Now, they haven't gotten him yet. But think of that lineup. They're going to trade Nick Castellanos, and they're going to replace him with Bo Bichette. What does Detroit do? Well, a former MVP, had strong words for how the Tigers do business. We'll explain when we come back here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Soar to new heights of winning with Eagle Casino and Sports. Enjoy your favorite games wherever you are, whether at home or on the go. Dive into exciting slots, spin the roulette wheel, or challenge yourself with virtual table games, all at your fingertips. Sign up now and opt in to receive a deposit match up to $1,500 for the casino, plus up to 100 free spins. Download the Eagle Casino and Sports app today and experience winning with just a tap. Go you! Must be located in Michigan and 21 years or older. Other conditions apply. Visit playeagle.com to join the action. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Michigan Sports Network is your exclusive home for X's and Bros with Matt Shepard and The Huge Show later today at 3 p.m.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
years of covering sports, I've had plenty of encounters with with athletes and with coaches and general managers. Some really pleasant, others probably not so much. One happened with Josh Donaldson. So two different episodes. One when Josh Donaldson, he was named MVP of the American League with the Toronto Blue Jays in 2015. Had a great year, man. Led the league in runs, led the league in RBIs, hit 297, hit 41 bombs, almost 200 hits. He was really good, right? And I remember the following season in 2016, he was at Comerica Park, and I was covering the Tigers and Blue Jays. And I said, "Hey, Josh, you got a second?" He said, "Yeah, after this, that, or the other thing." So he had a few things going on, and I respected that. And I said, I waited for him. I waited for him in the opposing team's clubhouse. He finally gets in there, and I said, "Hey, Josh, you got a second now?" And he looks at me like, I don't know why in the world you want to talk to me. And he said that to me. He said, "What do you want to talk to me for?" I said, "Oh, I don't know. You're the reigning MVP, and you're here at Comerica Park. It's who people want to talk to." It's like, what the hell? What is that supposed to mean? Why would you ask me that? Of course I want to talk to you. Who doesn't want to talk to you? You're the MVP of the league. So we had a little bit of a problem there. But years later, when he was playing for, I think it was for Atlanta, okay, in 2019, Kirk Gibson and I are in front of the Tigers dugout on the field, and Donaldson comes running over. And he just sure as hell didn't want to talk to me. He wanted to talk with Gibby. And Josh Donaldson played his college ball at Auburn. Could have played safety at Auburn as well, and talked with Gibby about that, about playing two sports. So he was really up on how good Kirk Gibson played at Michigan State as a wide receiver and as a baseball player. So they had a good conversation. I was part of it. I really enjoyed it. Okay. It was a really fun conversation, quite honestly. But Donaldson's a very opinionated dude. All right. He's not afraid to speak his mind. Neither is Jim Bowden, who's, former general manager of the Cincinnati Reds and been around baseball basically his entire adult life. Hosts a show on MLB radio. The Tarek Skubal arbitration case continues to dominate headlines. It's not front and center like it was before, because you've got free agents out there in Major League Baseball that are looking for a home. So that's a lot of what MLB radio, MLB TV, and people associated with the baseball world are talking about. But Skubal's arbitration case still remains a hot topic of conversation. Here's what Bowden wrote in The Athletic not too long ago. Okay. Now, again, he's the former general manager of the Reds, former general manager of the Washington Nationals. I don't know what side you take. All right. I don't know if you feel like it's Skubal deserves $19 million. That's enough. Or it's ridiculous that the Tigers would come to him with that proposal. I hope he gets the entire $32 million. All right. Unless both sides come to some type of agreement in between, and they have a chance to do that. All right. Early February is when there has to be a decision made in front of the arbitrator, the 3-panel arbitration committee. And we know what the record is. The record is Juan Soto, $31 million. That was a Scott Boras agent, right? With the Yankees in 2024. Here's what Bowden writes. He writes, "You're telling me that in the final year of arbitration eligibility, Skubal shouldn't earn more than Soto did? How do the Tigers rationalize their filing number?" Well, that was my biggest problem. How do you come up with $19 million when you pay $25 million for Jack Flaherty? He continues, "Compared to David Price's arbitration from 11 years ago," this is something we talked about last week, $19.75 million, which is even more than the Tigers offer Skubal. The next year, Price landed a long-term deal in free agency with the Red Sox worth $31 million a year. All that is correct. All that is understandable why you would do that. He would later say, when you look at all the active pitchers, The only ones making more than $32 million are Zach Wheeler, Jacob deGrom, Garrett Cole, and Tyler Glasnow. Skubal's better than all of them. Over the last 2 years, he's been better than all of them. So it's hard to understand how the Tigers think they can win a case at $19 million. It's not just that, though. It's not just winning or losing a case. It's how you look. Public perception is a big part of this, too, to your fan base and to baseball and to players. He writes, Detroit had already embarrassed themselves with their long-term offer to Skubal, which was not even in the ballpark of what he's looking for. And now they want to alienate him further by treating him like this. Now, I don't know if it alienates him. Only Scott Boras and Tarek Skubal understand that. But don't tell me that as much as he may be making the rounds at Michigan State basketball games and Red Wings games and Lions games and taking pictures with Cade Cunningham at a Pistons game, that there isn't a part of him that thinks, is this what matters most to them? How come I don't matter more to them? There has to be a part of him in his inner circle. Trent, when you're around your buddies, they probably say some stuff that you wouldn't say out loud, but you're probably wondering anyway. There's a part of you. And that's okay. It happens to everybody.
Yeah,
right?
when you're around people you trust. I mean,
absolutely. Okay. Whether it be about whatever, about sports, about the show, about this, about that, whatever. There's got to be a part of Tarek Skubal in the backyard around a campfire, drinking a beer with some buddies where somebody just goes, dude, what the hell is it with your organization? How can they pay Jack Flaherty $25 million, offer Alex Cobb, who had 1 foot out the door in retirement, 15, and only offer you 19? Come on, don't you think that's a bit of a slap in the face? And he may not say it on beer number 1, but by the time he gets to the Lansing Brewing Company number 5, he's probably going, yeah, you're right, man. What a joke. When he starts looking up the different players, don't tell me I let my agent handle that stuff. Bullcrap. All right. Those guys know how much different players make. They can spout that off pretty easily. Getting in a conversation with them about something off topic, slip that in there. They'll slip it right back in there. They know. Okay. Here's what Josh Donaldson put on X. I'm a little behind on this, but just saw the arbitration news on Skubal. I mean, the Detroit Tigers fumbled this big time. Skubal wants $32 million. Detroit offers $19 million. All that stuff you and I both know. You and I have about the minute. Here's a former MVP, all right, for what it's worth. And the reason I started this conversation was with my interaction, so you know that it's not like I sit there and love this guy and worship him. He's not Alan Trammell to me. He spent 13 years in the major leagues. He's seen quite a bit. His last 2 words of the tweet, trash organization. You don't think that resonates with people? Come on. You don't think other players follow him? And though not everything is true on Twitter, there are plenty of people who follow Josh Donaldson in Major League Baseball, currently who play, and recognize some of the stuff that he's brought to the proverbial social media table. Seriously. You got a former MVP saying trash organization. Didn't say I don't understand this. Didn't say Tarek Skubal deserves better. Didn't say the Tigers need to rethink this. He wrote trash organization. Doesn't it make you wonder how many others feel that way? I've said this. It's not just the number that's insulting. It's everything that goes with it that's associated with it. How they've handled the negotiation and how they've handled it in the past. Phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. You can always text us, Sports Radio 21,000. This hour is brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
From Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Cadillac, Lansing, and beyond, you are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard only on the Michigan Sports Network.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
I got some mind-blowing numbers for you coming up here. But just FYI, if Scooble happens to win his arbitration case, and it's $32 million, the Tigers' cash payroll for 2026 is going to be $180 million. 185.02. All right. So $180.5 million. Last year, their cash total was $179. You're talking about $2.5 million. Why don't you think about that for a minute? Last year, pretty damn close to the same it would be if Scooble were to win his arbitration case, knowing that Detroit really hasn't gone out and spent money on anybody. It's kind of, I don't know. Has it flown under the radar, do you think? Do you think people are paying attention to it? Or because the Pistons' success, the Red Wings' success, Fedorov's jersey retirement, Detroit firing an offensive coordinator, the Lions not making the playoffs, Michigan and Michigan State playing really good college basketball. Do you think all of that has overshadowed the lack of activity by the Tigers? It's a good question.
I think that's a big part of it. That's a major
do.
part of it. There are other things dictating the headlines.
Yeah.
I mean, we're guilty of it too. We talk about it on this show, but we probably don't give it quite as much. I mean, this is the first time.
I don't know.
We
talked about it all week. It's only Wednesday, but and football is dominant, right? We know that. How much more can you really say? I mean, I think I said it pretty plainly last week.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong here. I'm just
I know.
Simply
but I
sticking
just
our hand
wonder
up here too.
I wonder if the national media talks about it quite a bit. I mean, the baseball focus shows, okay, they talk about it quite a bit. I do think we made our point. Others have made their point, and then they've moved on. How much do you need to dwell on it? I don't know, man. It's a good question. It's not like you and I complaining about this means that Chris Ilitch goes, oh, you know what? X's and BrO's in the morning is talking about this on a regular basis. I better do something about it. They've already made that bed, and now they're going to have to lie in it. It's really unfortunate. It's frustrating, quite honestly. It's really frustrating for me, just because it really shouldn't come to this. And it's amazing to me how organizations don't recognize it. Like, they don't foresee things. I complain about the NCAA all the time. How did you not see the Wild Wild West coming? Right now, how do you not go about your business and say, let's make sure we get a collective bargaining agreement with the players? Just call them employees. That's what they are. They pay them, right? So they bring in NIL money. They pay the players. Let's just say they're employees. Get a collective bargaining agreement. Make sure they're signing a 2-year contract. Move forward from that, right? Let's change our calendar. Have everything done by January 1. All that other stuff. It's not that hard, I don't think. I'm not trying to simplify it, but it's not that hard. Why can't we see that? Are people that blind? How are people finishing their day at work, turning off the lights, shutting the door, locking it, jumping in their car and saying, well, that's a productive day, and they haven't fixed this issue? That's my problem with the NCAA, the college football playoff, the leaders in sports, the leaders in institutions. I don't even know if there's leaders in institutions any longer, to be honest with you. How do the Tigers not know the same thing? Like, hey, listen, guys, we've got big arbitration cases coming up. All right, who's in charge of Casey Mize? Boom. All right, Spencer Torkelson, boom. These shouldn't be that debatable. Here's the elephant in the room. What do we do about Tarek Skubal? And I don't want to sound like Brad Pitt in Moneyball, but when I point, that's when you talk. Tell me what the number is. $19 million. Why? Well, because the record is David Price, 19.75. When was that? 11 years ago. What's the cost of living? How's it raised? Okay. How much has it increased? How about other research? Anybody tell me about the price of pitchers? Anybody tell me the record of somebody in arbitration? Who was their representative? These are all things that are basic questions that all should have been known before you submit the offer.
Not to mention, there's a very good case to be made that this version of Tarek Skubal's better than David Price was 11 years ago.
Won the Cy Young. David Price didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Price had a longer runway, a lot more innings pitched, a lot more appearances, all that stuff. How much does that matter? Don't give me innings pitch matters when you're the one taking this dude out at 99 pitches and saying he gave it his all. I can criticize Tarek Skubal all I want for that, but you're the ones who are keeping him on a limited pitch count. All right? You're the ones that are deciding these things, so he's fresh down the stretch and all this other crap. Can't stand it. I just don't understand how you don't foresee these things. You shouldn't be in the position if you are this derelict in your duties. 19 million was a joke. You know what they did? I truly believe this. Hey, guys, he made 10 million last year. Okay. What do you think is fair? I don't know. 19 mil. That's a $9 million bump. That's a good point. Good. You're right. Never did they think, holy crap, Scott Boras is a shark. That dude wants to go for the throat on a regular basis. He wants to make history for his clients. He wants to pump their tires like nobody's business. He might go 32. I wouldn't have expected 32, but I sure as hell wouldn't have expected 19. In fact, months ago, when the season ended, what did I say? I said, look, he's going to make at least $20 million. He's going to at least double his salary. There's no doubt about that. If I can know that, if I know that it's at least 20 million, how do you as an organization who have an intimate relationship with this guy, knowing that he could leave after the season's over, and you come in with that low? Oh, here's why. Because you've already lowballed him once. It's 2 strikes, dude. 2 strikes. It's crazy. Let me give you some quick numbers here. We talked about the Red Wings losing 3-0 to the Bruins last night. They're now in second place in the Atlantic because Tampa won 2-1 in a shootout over Pittsburgh. You know who also won last night? Nashville. They beat Edmonton. But Connor McDavid had a couple of assists. Most points by an NHL player before the age of 29. Wayne Gretzky, 1,935. Mario Lemieux, 1,211. I want you to think about that. He had 724 more points than the next closest guy by the age of 29. 724. Let that settle in for a moment. Do you know how many years that is? I say this all the time, and I know people roll their eyes, and they're like, oh, give me a break. And he's the most dominant athlete of my lifetime. You're not supposed to be dominant in that sport, and yet he was. 700 plus more points than the next guy at the age of 29. Let's put it in perspective. Last year, the league leader in points was Nikita Kucherov with 121. In other words, he was close. We'll just round it down. He was about 5.5 to 6 years better than the next guy at the same age. That's how dominant Wayne Gretzky was. Connor McDavid is third, 1,162. I think he's the greatest skater I've ever seen. I would pay to see him play. He's simply spectacular. And yet, 773 points behind Wayne Gretzky at age 29. It's incredible. Most assists before turning 29. Gretzky, 1,271. 500 more than Connor McDavid. McDavid's 771 career assists are the second most in NHL history before the age of 29, but he's 500 assists away from Wayne Gretzky at the same time. Want more perspective? Last year, Connor McDavid had 74 assists. He's got to play 7 years worth of that type of caliber play to catch Gretzky at the same age. That's a pretty good perspective, don't you think? Steve Yzerman, by the way, 653. That's sixth most. All right. Here's a couple of other ones that I found out. If I asked you, Steph Curry, let's play basketball here for a minute. Steph Curry, is he the best shooter you've ever seen?
Without question.
Same here. He's got more threes made than free throws made. Let me say that again. Steph Curry has 4,199 triples. He has 4,189 free throws made.
The fact that that's not that shocking is what makes it shocking
to you. Wow, that stuns me, man.
I mean, it makes sense because it's like that's his play style. He shoots a lot. He doesn't get to the cup a lot, So it does make sense, but it's still bonkers to say out loud.
I can't. To me, I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. I really do, because you would think he would at least get to the free throw line. I know he puts up a lot of shots. Does he not get to the free throw line a lot too? And he's a good free throw shooter. To me, it's stunning, that number.
Yeah, what's his career free throw percentage? 91, something like that.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head. I think it's higher than that. I think it's around like 80. I want to say it's in the 80s, okay, or high 80s. It's 91.2. And
that, okay, I just looked it up too. That's the highest career free throw percentage in NBA history.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Here's another one for you. With Mike Tomlin, after 19 years, stepping aside, who's the longest tenured coach in the four major sports? I'll give you a hint.
No clue.
I'll give you a hint. It's in basketball.
Steve Kerr?
It's in the NBA. That's what somebody else said to me yesterday. Nope, it's Eric Spoelstra.
Ah, okay. That's a good
Been
one.
around since 2008. That's a good little nugget, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, one more before we get to the final results of the poll question. This one is phenomenal, all right? There have been more popes for the Catholic Church than Steelers head coaches since 1969.
Yeah, that's wild. That's really wild.
There have been 6 popes since 1969. There have been 4, now will be 4, and it was 3 coaches for the Pittsburgh Steelers since 1969. How do you feel about the Rams and Bears this weekend? We're Wednesday. They play Sunday night, correct? Right? It's going to be Sunday night.
Yeah, I think it's the last game of the weekend. And I love the Rams, not just being a hater, but I love the Rams in that spot.
I told you the statistic yesterday that indoor teams, dome teams, are 1-15 in the last decade in outdoor playoff games under 40 degrees. 1-15. This one might change your mind. On Sunday, it's supposed to be one of the coldest days in Chicago. The wind chill is supposed to be as low as -10. All right. That's in the mid-afternoon. So it might be even lower at night, like a -15. All right. The wind is supposed to be between 20 and 30 miles an hour. Caleb Williams, Trent, he's a West guy. He played at Oklahoma and he played at USC. He's 3-1 in games under 20 degrees. Matthew Stafford is 1-8 under the same circumstances. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, if you're picking the Bears, that's exactly why you pick the Bears, right?
Well, that and the fact that they're third best in rushing. And the Rams defense has been a little susceptible as of late. Let's get to the final results of the Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question of the day. We asked you yesterday, which Red Wings player captivated you most? Whether you're a kid or a young adult. Is it Sergei Fedorov, Steve Yzerman, Nick Lidstrom, or Brendan Shanahan? What did people say?
Yzerman won going away, 59%. Nick Lidstrom got 29%, and Sergey and Shanny both got 6% each.
All right. I love it. Time for the daily wager. And by the way, our Mitch Lanswell poll question now for today is, will you feel disappointed if the Pistons don't make a trade? Yes or no? We'll give you the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. The daily wager. Not sure you had one yesterday. What do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, we had technical difficulties at the end of the show yesterday, so we didn't get one in. But tonight's kind of weird because none of the teams we follow are playing. So I'm going to go to the NBA. There's a lot of close point spreads tonight. And one of them that I really like is the Sixers -1 at home against Cleveland. I think Tyrese Maxey's playing really good ball right now. He's really fun to watch. He's going to be on the All-Star team. People should take notice. So give me the Sixers -1 in that pick 'em, basically.
Yeah. Is he some people have wondered if he's an MVP candidate. Do you think he is?
I don't, but I mean, if you vote for 5 or 6 guys, then sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put like 5 guys on a ballot, yeah, he'd probably get votes.
Okay. I guess we would have to first determine on what we consider to be. I mean, Philadelphia is better than you thought. Okay.
Yes.
First and foremost.
And he's the reason for it.
I think they're 5th in the East. He's the 3rd leading scorer in the NBA.
I'm telling you, he's become, I mean, not overnight, but he's become a bona fide scorer.
Oh.
Because he does it at all 3 levels.
No question about that. He's averaging 31 points per game, man.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Yeah, it's remarkable. He's averaging 4 triples a game. Okay.
Yeah, and just by, I don't want to say by default because Joel Embiid is always hurt, but he's kind of gotten the keys now.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
He's 3rd in the league in steals. So when people say he doesn't belong in the conversation, I don't understand that. What does a guy have to do to be part of it? I think some of us here in Detroit, in the state of Michigan, it's like, wait a minute, he's a guard, just like Cade Cunningham. If he's in the conversation, that's taking things away from Cade Cunningham. I think Tyrese Maxey deserves to be part of the conversation. I'm not saying he should win it. I think he should be part of the conversation. Really good conversation with you today. We appreciate it. Thanks for giving us some of your time on this Wednesday. We're back with you tomorrow on a Tully Moore Thursday. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody.